Welcome to This Explainer. We are jumping right into a psychological phenomenon you have absolutely witnessed and, let's be real, probably been deeply annoyed by. We're talking about why the most confident person in the room is very often the least competent one. Just sit with that for a second, because we aren't just going to vent about it today. We're actually going to look at the structural reasons why the human brain is hardwired to protect people from realizing just how wrong they are. So, why does this happen? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe you were sitting in a meeting at work and someone with zero actual expertise spoke with total, unwavering conviction, while the real expert in the room kind of hedged and said, well, it depends. Or maybe you were scrolling online and watched someone who did what? Free whole weeks of internet research explaining a complex topic way louder and more confidently than people who have spent their entire careers studying it. This isn't just random arrogance. It's actually one of the most rigorously replicated findings in all of psychology. In this explainer, we'll walk through exactly why this happens and, more importantly, how to spot it. We'll be moving quickly through 6 key areas: the illusion of competence, the missing meta-skill, the 4 stages of learning, spotting real expertise, the comfort trap, and finally, testing your own certainty. All right, Section 1, the illusion of competence. This is what happens when certainty definitely does not equal accuracy. Let's picture 2 people arguing about nutrition, because this perfectly illustrates the dynamic. Person A has skimmed maybe 2 articles online and built an entire absolute worldview out of it. Person B has actually studied physiology for years. Now, the person with 2 articles speaks in pure absolutes. This food is poison. That one is a miracle, right? There's zero nuance, because they don't even know the complexity exists. Meanwhile, the actual expert speaks of it slower, they qualify their statements, they say things like, well, in most cases, or the research is mixed. But here's the kicker. To an outside observer in a casual conversation, the person speaking in simple absolutes actually sounds way more convincing. Moving on to Section 2, the missing meta-skill. This is the brain's hidden defense mechanism. To understand why this isn't just a personality flaw we can point and laugh at, we have to look at how the brain structurally processes information. The crucial concept here is something called a meta-skill. It's the cognitive ability to judge skill itself. It's like a second layer of awareness that requires the exact same underlying knowledge as the task you're evaluating. Basically, to know you're bad at something, well, actually, scratch that. To know you're anything at something, you need a certain level of skill in that specific area to serve as your measuring stick. Think about it. If you're a terrible writer, you need actual writing skill to recognize that your sentences are clunky. If you don't have that skill, your brain looks at what you wrote and goes, yep, looks like a masterpiece to me. It's literally like trying to check if your ruler is accurate using that exact same broken ruler. It really boils down to this. Incompetence isn't just doing badly. It's doing badly while simultaneously losing the ability to detect that you're doing badly. You get 2 losses for the price of 1. And that second loss, that's the dangerous one, because it is entirely invisible. When someone lacking this meta-skill is corrected, their brain doesn't process it as useful feedback. Without that internal radar, they think everything is perfectly fine. So when you tell them they're wrong, they process it as a direct, unprovoked attack on their self-image. And that is exactly why people double down and get super defensive instead of getting curious. We all like to imagine that confidence and competence move together in this nice, clean, upward trajectory. But in reality, there is a massive disconnect at the very bottom of the skill range. When actual skill is rock bottom, confidence balloons wildly out of proportion. Why? Because the less you know, the smaller your mental map of everything I don't know actually looks. Meanwhile, highly competent people often underestimate themselves because they can clearly see this massive, terrifying map of edge cases, exceptions, and nuance. Which brings us to Section 3, the 4 stages of learning. Let's map out this journey, because once you can name these stages, you can instantly spot exactly where someone is standing. The journey always starts with deceptive ease. Day 1 is blissful ignorance. Your confidence is at a lifetime peak, but your skill is at a lifetime low. Then around month 1, if you keep at it, you hit the crash. You start bumping into exceptions where your simple little rules just don't hold up anymore. It's pretty devastating, and honestly, it's where most people just quit. But if you push through, by year 1, you enter the slow climb. This is where you build informed confidence that's actually been tested against reality. And finally, years later, you reach intuitive mastery. But here is the really fascinating trap. At the highest levels of mastery, things start to feel intuitive and simple again. But it is a completely different kind of simple. Blissful ignorance is simple because the complexity hasn't been discovered yet. Mastery is simple because the complexity has been fully digested. From the outside, though, they look almost exactly the same. And this is exactly why quietly brilliant experts and confidently wrong novices get confused for each other in casual conversation. We have to look deeper. So Section 4, spotting real expertise. How do you actually tell who knows their stuff? We need a toolkit to identify who is standing in stage 4, mastery, versus who is just stuck in stage 1. Because let's face it, confidence is incredibly cheap to produce and very expensive to fake detect if you don't know what to look for. The absolute fastest way to sort genuine depth from performed confidence is to look for the edges of someone's knowledge. Real expertise has edges. If someone speaks with vague confidence, no details, no boundaries, just this total edgeless certainty, it almost always means they haven't even found the edges yet. Specific expertise, on the other hand, defines those boundaries clearly. Try asking a sincere follow-up question like, hey, what's the situation where that wouldn't apply? A beginner's mental model doesn't have exceptions built in, so they're going to stumble. An expert, they'll usually have 3 answers locked and loaded. You've got to keep an eye out for these specific signals. Genuine competence includes caveats. They love saying it's complicated. They react to correction with curiosity, not defensiveness, because being wrong stopped being a threat to their ego a long time ago. They also comfortably say, I don't know. And crucially, watch out for domain-specific blindness. A brilliant doctor speaking with absolute certainty about, say, macroeconomics might just be operating with stage 1 blissful ignorance in that new field. Being a genius in one area gives you exactly 0 automatic protection in another. Okay, Section 5, the comfort trap. Why does society actively reward being confidently wrong? Because we can't ignore the environment here. This isn't just happening in a vacuum. Here is the hard truth. Being confidently wrong just feels clean. It feels decisive. Accurate uncertainty feels messy and frustratingly slow. Think about social media algorithms, or even just human social dynamics. They naturally amplify the loudest, most absolute voices. An algorithm does not care if you are right. It only cares if you are engaging. And literally nothing is more engaging than absolute certainty. Plus, pushing back against unearned confidence in real life is socially costly. It causes friction. So most of us just let it slide. The confidently wrong person walks away with their beliefs validated, and the nuanced truth gets buried. Finally, Section 6, testing your own certainty. It's time to turn the mirror inward. This is where it gets a little uncomfortable because for this explainer to actually be useful, we have to stop pointing fingers at our annoying coworkers and start applying this exact same lens to ourselves. I want you to try these 4 steps. First, get deeply suspicious of your own fast, frictionless certainty. If you feel 0 friction on a massively complex topic, you probably only understand it on a shallow level. Second, try arguing the opposite side as convincingly as you can. If you genuinely cannot construct a halfway decent argument against your own position, it usually means you don't understand the topic deeply enough to even know where its weak points are. Third, ask yourself what would actually change your mind. And fourth, just practice saying, I don't know out loud. It is the ultimate flex of a reliable mind. Now look, the goal here isn't to walk around paralyzed by self-doubt. You don't need a full-blown audit of your confidence to decide what kind of sandwich to eat for lunch. It's all about the stakes. When the stakes are low and the cost of being wrong falls entirely on you, go with your gut, prioritize efficiency. But when the stakes are high, and especially when the cost of being wrong is going to land on somebody else, that is when you need to slow down, embrace the messy friction, and really check if your certainty is actually earned. I'm going to leave you with one last provocative thought, and I want you to honestly apply this to yourself today. We've seen exactly how the brain tricks us into unearned confidence, so let's put it to the test. In the area of your life where you feel the absolute most confident right now, what exact piece of evidence would it take to change your mind? If there is literally no piece of evidence you can even imagine that would shift your position, are you experiencing true conviction, or are you just caught in a closed loop of unearned confidence? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what you think you know.